The Steam Next Fest is over, but as we do some undefined number of times every year, we're going to take a look at as many of the demos as I could play in the 168 hours of the event in order to bring you the best of the Steam Next Fest. Let's start out where all good things start, with pizza. In Pizza Possum, you'll dive into the role of a possum whose singular goal is to eat as many things as possible up to and including delicious pizza. But this munching marsupial isn't free to consume these goods at will. These police dogs will race to raid on your buffet and haul you off to what I assume is possum jail. So it's your job to avoid their gaze, run away with magic speed potions, or distract them with the enticing stereotype of a bone, all the while getting fat and sassy on enormous pizzas right behind their back. But if you want to consume your own delicious treat, you've got to try out Sea of Stars. From the makers of The Messenger comes another game extremely reminiscent of a classic console adventure, but with the freshness of high definition to make those pixel art pixels really pop. Now you can dive into a fresh take on the 30-year-old top-down RPG experience you always loved, with puzzle-based environments, combat encounters you can run away from in circles, and familiar fights that have you laying down position-based attacks, slapping together sweet-ass combos, and rhythmically bouncing this boomerang off your face for maximum effect. If you're not keen on bouncing things off your face, or maybe you'd like to launch some face-directed projectiles yourself, you'll want to check out Divigo. With one of my first forays into the incredibly disorienting world of multiplayer VR, this puts you in the role of either a warrior that you can play on regular pancake vision or the floating head and hands of a giant. Whichever side you choose will attempt to kill the other, whether it's with explosive rockets, mounted cannons, or Spider-Manning with your massive hammer as a warrior, or just bashing the sweet ever-loving shit out of tiny dudes as a giant. You'll get all of the tactical fun of platforming around for an advantageous shot, or the strategic glory of trying not to be swarmed by deadly bees and dying horribly. You might like your tactics and strategy a little more nuanced though, which is why you're a perfect candidate for Wargroove 2. This sequel will take you back to the Fire Emblem/Advance Wars experience of turn-based combat that culminates with people assaulting one another across frames in a dramatic fashion. Here you'll need all of your strategic cunning to take on the role of a dog commander and crush your enemies with both cuteness and volleys of arrows in what looks exactly the same as the original but is probably pretty different. But if you're looking for something extremely familiar from the just run around and automatically kill things genre, you might want to pick up God of Weapons. Here you'll dive into the role of one of these guys just standing around in the dark and take on the task of climbing a tower of identical rooms where dozens of monsters, blobs, and blob monsters swarm in from the ether. But because apparently you're the god of weapons, your weapons just float around you, ending the lives of these creatures with great prejudice and no input at all from you. Then between rounds you get to strategically unlock your inventory 1 inch at a time and fill it with more awkwardly shaped weapons and random magic garbage to join your floating arsenal. As fun as floating weapons are, they're definitely not better than floating people, which is what you'll be managing in Jumplight Odyssey. In this ship management sim, you'll take on the role of a princess that leads the last of her people from a planet destroyed by the evil red guy on a mad dash to the safety of some other place. On this desperate journey, you'll have to repair your ship, build new facilities, and quantum leap from star to star gathering resources, all while those evil red guys are nipping at the ass of your colorful ship. And if they catch up to you like they did with me every time I ran out of reachable stars, they'll drill into your hull and blast your refugees with all the evil redness they can muster. If you want to manage a more terrestrial group of people with their own set of unique dangers, then you might want to check out Gourd. Here you'll take on the role of leading a small squad of random people into a forest of perpetual darkness and hurricane-force winds to carve the jankiest looking village out of the countryside. That's only the beginning of your adventure though, because you'll also need to arm some of your citizens and venture out into the eternal night to complete quests and face the unique dangers of the sadistic world, like whatever the hell this thing is. But if you'd like to have some grotesque monstrosities on your side for once, you might want to take a look at Toxic Crusaders. Based on what I once assumed was some crazy fever dream from my childhood, but was actually a single-season cartoon with 13 episodes and a spin-off game from 1991, this beat-em-up wants to inject you full of nostalgia that perhaps several dozen people have experienced. Take on the role of one of these toxic waste-mutated humanoids to fight against some pollution-craving aliens and their pollution-based minions as they attempt to make the polluted city of Tromaville a little more polluted. Not everything is about horrible environments, though. Station to Station will put you in a quaint yet somewhat dreary-looking chunk of nature and let you splash it with a coat of vivid enhancement through the power of trains. That's right, simply connect 2 stations and send those cars chug-a-lugging down the track to blast out a bubble of beauty and earn some money. The more efficiently you can do it with the use of these special enhancement and discount cards, because every game needs to have cards these days, the more stars and achievements you can unlock. Though if you want your achievements to be based more on your skills and abilities, you can start shredding the half-pipe with Ollie Frog Toad Skater. If you enjoyed Tony Hawk but felt it was missing a Kirby-shaped frog protagonist that you can dress up and also has the ability to skate underwater, now you can have that. But if that's not weird enough for you, you might want to try out a title that has you just jogging down a single hallway for the entire experience. Vampire Hunters may just look like a 15-year-old game you dragged out of a dumpster on the surface, but most people won't tell you how much fun it can be to play in the trash. You'll start out with a mysterious wall of death approaching you from one side and a barren hallway on the other. As you proceed, a variety of monsters and a fuck ton of bats will start spawning in front of you that you can bring down with the exciting power of a gun. But as you collect their corpse droppings, you'll level up and gain the option to add more guns to your arsenal until your whole screen is guns and gun-like implementations, letting you rain terror on the ever-increasing spawns of things that might be vampires. Most people know that rather than vampires, the real threat to humanity is giant AI-driven robots gone rogue. That's why I enjoyed Battle Shapers. Here you'll take on the first-person role of this Mega Man-esque lady with a giant fist she uses in conjunction with a small armory of guns to punch, shoot, zap, crack, and pop robot assholes through procedurally placed rooms in this roguelike adventure. That means repeating slightly rearranged content and fighting the same slightly rearranged collection of enemies until you can unlock the correct skill set for efficiently and effectively farming your way to victory. But if victory isn't your style and you want to play for the inevitable fall of your civilization, you can check out one of these 2 nearly distinguishable games, Aztecs The Last Sun and El Dorado The Golden City Builder. Whether you're looking to carve out a city-building fantasy of a lost civilization in southern Central America or a lost civilization in northern South America, these games both have you covered. Both have you gathering resources, unlocking new buildings, and engaging class-based workforces to keep it all running. But Aztecs The Last Sun has the advantage of letting you slightly terraform the land, which makes it at least 2 to 3% more entertaining. One game that surprised me on this Next Fest foray was something from a publisher that always manages to get me playing games I normally wouldn't play. Wizard with a Gun is a survival crafting adventure that sucks you in with the delight of magic-infused guns and bullets and straps you down to the torture device of collecting mountains of materials and crafting them into everything you need, as well as a bunch of decorations you really don't. But as you rewind time and try to reclaim a world that is being fucked up by chaotic squid monsters, you won't notice that you've spent hours shooting garbage to get more metal and plant pieces for that weird-looking table you wanted. The surprises sadly didn't end there though, because a game I thought I would love and spent several hours playing ended up being the disappointment we all should have expected from Nexon. Warhaven puts you in the role of one of a collection of cool-ass warrior people, including my consistent favorite of Big Dude with a Hammer, and lets you battle it out against 15 other cool-ass warrior people. As enjoyable as it was to smash opponents with weapons until they turn into crumbling stone, the chaos of the design quickly devolves that fun smashing into teeth gnashing. The frustration mounts as successful players are freely emboldened with access to immortals that can increase their success exponentially, and it turns out the idea of not limiting powerful characters like Star Wars Battlefront was a shitty plan. Tie that in with the screen-clearing mounted cannons that guarantee play of the game and the inability to cancel attacks, and you'll be scrambling back to Chivalry 2 or For Honor to get your ass kicked by veterans the old-fashioned way. Luckily, disappointing surprises wasn't the theme of this Next Fest. Rather, we once again have a good lock on the games that will brighten our future with fun gameplay, beautiful graphics, catchy music, and sacrificing children to horrific monsters. But until then, always remember that if you'd like to see more hot takes, warm satire, and tepid commentary about video games, make sure to like this video and check out more Abbreviated Reviews.